Hello, good day to you. I hope you're having a great day so far. We are here at Rapid Response Urgent Care, and the reason for doing this video is to help our intended or intending patients. They'll like to come to us for the I-693 immigration medical exam performed by us, and we wanted to put this out to kind of walk you through. For things to expect and also preparations you may need to do before presenting for this vital step in your immigration process. Now, know that this immigration medical is required for any any of the route that you need to change your status or route to green card process. It could be family based, it could be employment, visa lottery, asylum, just whichever route. I believe the I-693 is a vital step to it. So let's jump into this real quick. So your first should start pretty much on Google. You type in I-693. Oh, didn't type that. So I-693. And these are probably going to be the same results that you should pull up. Okay, the very first page goes to the USCIS website on the report of medical examination and vaccination. It gives you the form and instructions on getting that, or you could just click it from here. So let's go back. I need to open a different page. So that's what the form looks like. Okay, there are 13 pages. Make sure you complete your family name, first name, and middle name on every page. So this very first page has your physical address, your vital information. Now, most people get confused about what they need to do regarding their A number. Not everybody has an A number. If you're not sure, leave that blank. It doesn't really matter. As well as your USCIS online account number. You can leave that blank. It doesn't matter. Okay? Very vital. If you read and understand English, you need to check that. But if you don't, then you need to present with an interpreter. Now, it doesn't matter if the clinic has someone that understands your language. Somebody would have to stand in for you in regards to interpretation. Okay, this you get to sign in front of the civil surgeon, and you put a date that you presented or the day you signed this. Now, of course, you could sign it on the very first day of presenting to the clinic. It takes a few days to get this done. You can sign it when you're picking up, but it has to, whenever you sign that in front of the civil surgeon, then you date. Always remember your dating has to be in that format: 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 4 digits year. Okay, so today is July 7, 2019. It's going to be 07/07/2019. Okay, and this would be the information for your interpreter. Now, a lot of people could come in and their family member or who's the person that filed the I-130 tends to be, the U.S. citizen that also speaks English, and they're probably able to put their information here. Or it could be a child filing for a parent. Again, that's where they put the information in. So that person certifies that they're fluent in English and whatever language else that you may speak. This would have to be your form of ID that you present. It could be the data page of your passport. It could be the ID card from whichever state where you reside. It needs to have your photo picture on it to identify you, and your name has to represent exactly how the form is being filled out. Now, I can't stress that enough. If you don't have the right identification, you need to go to the courts first or to the DMV and get the right identification to show your name, and the sequence of your name has to be in order. Okay? You can't be John Smith Davis and present with the Smith John Davis. Those are two different people. Okay? Now, this is summary the of the test. This is for the civil surgeon. Okay? The main determination of all of this, why you need to go through the process, is all summarized here. Do you have a Class A or Class B condition? We're going to come into that later on while we go through the form to determine what a Class A or Class B. But just know up front, a Class A, you cannot have what you want, or they're not going to give you the, the green card. Class B, yes, you will get it. Okay, so but that's all the main reason for doing this, to figure out people that are not admissible on medical grounds. Okay, so the date of your first examination, day you present to the clinic. Okay, if for any reason you have lingering issues that need re-examination, then you come back and those dates will be documented. So the civil surgeon's information, again, back to the first search. See right here it says this is how you locate your civil surgeon. Okay, you come in and you type in your zip code. For us it's 77584, and of course we would appreciate if you were to come to us. This is our information. Okay, is a phone number to the office. You have to make sure that the civil surgeon you go to is listed on the website. Okay, so the civil surgeon's information goes in here, the civil surgeon's final signature, and the date would read when everything is completed, all your blood work, if you need imaging, and those are all complete. So these are the tests. From here, you're going to have the testings that will be required. For tuberculosis or communicable diseases of public health significance, what does that mean? Something that if you have it, you can impact the public. You don't. It's just not one person. It impacts the public. Okay. Skin tests are no longer done. They're no longer accepted. Okay. It has to be blood based. Okay. So the quantiferin is the one that we mostly do, and the reason for that is we've negotiated prices with one of the leading labs to give it to you or to do it for you at a discount. Now, people could choose to go have this test done. It's got to be with one of the two big reputable labs. I'm not going to mention their names, but those can be done and will be accepted within 30 days to the civil surgeon. Okay. Now, not every civil surgeon would accept that. Okay. You have to call the office and find out if they would take any labs done outside or the ones that absolutely go through their office. Okay. So the quantiferin tests usually takes between 3 to 7 days. Very rare occasions it's come back in 3 days. The norm is usually 5 days. If the tendency is that the result is positive, they take more days for testing. And we see those typically come back at about 7 days. So you have to know that when you get your letter for the I-693, it's not something that you can just run into the civil surgeon and say, oh, I need this test and I need it by tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. You have to time and pace yourself. As a matter of fact, I'm going to discuss some changes down the line that you don't even have to wait anymore. Once you do this process, you can go ahead and get your medical done. We'll discuss that later. But back to this, if it's negative, then that's it. No other issue going forward. You click that, and then no chest x-ray is required based on this being negative. But if this is positive, you will have to do a chest x-ray. Okay? Chest x-ray required due to initial screening test. Now that's an additional cost. Okay? Again, your civil surgeon could give you a script or prescription to go get it done in an imaging center, and you bring the results back. They could be set up, such as we are, to have it done in the office and get your results back within 15 to 20 minutes. So usually these results come back right about when the every other thing is done, and you're just waiting for the quantiferon test to come back. And once it's back, you sign and you seal the envelope. But if it's positive, once a person shows up in the clinic, we get them in, get the test done, 15 to 25 minutes, the results are ready, and we seal your envelopes and you go on your merry way. Or you could get a prescription and go somewhere else, and you take another 2 to 3 days. Or they could have an expedited service like we do. You get us the results back, and that's completed. Now, if for any reason, so this chest x-ray result comes back, you put the date it was taken, the day the results came back, positive or negative. Okay, if it's normal, great, then boom, you're done. Okay, if it's abnormal, of course, then you get referred out. Okay, you're going to the health department because a positive or concern for tuberculosis, you become inadmissible. Okay, so the other testings would be syphilis and gonorrhea, only for 15 years and above. Okay, you could, when you present and the kid is like 14 years, 11 months, and 3 days, still wouldn't do this. Okay, because they're not 15 yet. But once they turn 15, this test will have to be done. Okay. When the test comes back, if it's negative, great. It's no class A or class B. Initially, once the test comes in, right, and is positive, and the civil surgeon simply reports that, okay, you become inadmissible, okay, because you could be offered treatment, okay. Now, if it's a clinic such as ours, we could offer you treatment, okay, and get this completed, and you fall within class B. Okay, so you have to be mindful where you go, because the job of the civil surgeon is to look at this, okay, and report. The job is not, because this is, okay, so it's positive. Have you been treated within the last year, right? You produce evidence that you were treated, because guess what? This results will still remain positive, and you could do that, okay? But you could be offered treatment and still go here with evidence of what was done, okay? The same applies for gonorrhea. Again, the civil surgeon could simply report what they found, and you become inadmissible. There's nothing you're going to do to get it unless this is changed, or you go and you repeat the process. Okay, so Hansen's disease, also another in the family of the tuberculosis. Okay, or the fine reason for you for type A. Any of this, you fall into the class A. You become inadmissible. So one of the biggest issues here is any psychiatric or physical abnormality. Okay, physical disorder or mental disorders. Okay, so let's start with the physical. You show up, the arm is missing, a leg is missing. How did you get it? Was it self-inflicted or just an accident? Okay, so you have a current physical disorder without associated harmful behavior. You're class B, no problem. So you have a mishap, you were in an accident, you lost a limb, okay, which is the current physical, okay, but you did not cause it, so you're class B, okay, or whatever physical disorder, but you did not cause it, okay, class B. If for any reason there's self-harm, there's, harmful behavior, you're a threat to yourself or others, or you have a mental disorder with attempted suicide in the past, again, all of those are harmful behavior. You fall under class A. Okay? So, the quickest way with any mental disorder, now with the DSM classifications, mental disorders, that's complete field on its own, right? You need to go to your psychiatrist and get a letter. That's the fastest way with a mental disorder, any mental disorder, you need a psychiatrist letter to say, under my care, the condition is controlled and no harmful behavior, or if there was harmful behavior, not likely to reoccur, unlikely to reoccur, all right? Because if there's ever been documented harmful behavior, you have to fall under the class of unlikely to reoccur, okay? Okay, sorry about that. So moving on, drug abuse. Again, class A, inadmissible. Class B, you can get what you're seeking. So the same principle, okay? And of course, those questions will be asked by the civil surgeon. Other medical conditions, hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol issues, HIV, all fall in here, right? But again, has to be under control. You can't present with a blood pressure of 220 that is not under control. Then that becomes an issue. Okay, so those could be grounds for the civil surgeon to say, go back to your primary care doctor, get this condition under control, and we need a formal letter to say this is under control. Now, for those that don't have a doctor yet, they could sign up under the primary care of our doctor, and these conditions could get under control, and they can genuinely and honestly state condition being managed by XYZ on, say blood pressure medications, they list the name of the blood pressure meds, and that would suffice. Okay, so this part of the form is when the patient is being referred out. Okay, so vaccination record. Let's go back and see what the USCIS says about vaccinations. Let me see, vaccination requirements. All right. Okay. So background. These are things you need to have based on vaccination requirements. Measles, mumps, rubella, or the MMR. Polio, you can have the OPV or IPV. Most countries, in fact, everybody gives the polio. The Tdap, okay, tetanus, pertussis, and diphtheria. Okay, so you have the DTaP, which is childhood version, and you have the Tdap, which is adult. hepatitis B, and any other vaccine preventable disease recommended by the Advisory Committee for Immunization Practices. Okay, so what's the what do you see practically? Out of every 10, 3 would have their records. So what happens to the rest of the 10? I would advise everyone to go read all of these. Most of the questions have been asked and answered on the websites. But this is the biggest question that everyone asks. Do I have to receive all the required vaccines even though I have been vaccinated before? And the answer is no. So the civil surgeon will review your vaccination records at the time of your medical examination to see whether you have proof of earlier vaccinations against vaccine preventable diseases that are appropriate for your age category. It is important you take any written vaccination documents you may have to the civil surgeon when you have your immigration medical exam. Okay, so if we go through this, you will see where it talks about age appropriate vaccinations. So for most adults, the childhood vaccinations will not be age appropriate at this time. So let's assume somebody walked in and they don't have their records. There are certain ones that absolutely you would need to have. And there are different ways you could go about those. No negotiation. The Tdap, you need to have the MMR, you need to have the varicella. Okay? For under 65. Okay? Adults under 65. 65 and up, you want to have the pneumococcal as well. If it's during the influenza season, the influenza would have to be taken. Okay? So the other ones could fall under not age appropriate. Okay? So we could go ahead and the civil surgeon could possibly go ahead and do that. Okay? And say not age appropriate. You need to do the varicella. If you're 65 and up, you need to have this. If you're less than that, an adult, you'll probably do that. We're currently not in the flu season, so this would go that. So this probably would be a typical, okay? And then for whatever, if you've done, you could do labs to show immunity to measles, mumps, rubella. Here's a kicker. If you are not immune to rubella, you have to take the whole thing. If you're not immune to only mumps, you'll have to repeat the whole thing. So you spent money doing the lab, okay? And you still have to spend to take the shots, okay? For most people, it's a rule of thumb. If you've not had the shots within 10 years, which is again, I'm talking about majority, they haven't had these within the last 10 years. I would advise to just go ahead and take those and present to the civil surgeon with your Tdap, MMR, varicella. Okay? Some people may have had chickenpox as a child, and that falls under varicella history. But then the civil surgeon will want to get the lab to show that you're immune. Or you could have obvious pits on your face, like those disfigurations you get from the chickenpox. Okay, so those times it's at the discretion of the civil surgeon to accept those history. And yet, several ways to some people, I've seen several ways people actually show that they've had pictures to say, hey, doc, look, this was when I had the chickenpox. And it's very clear they had it, okay? So, let's recap. For the adults, right, there are ones that you cannot absolutely need to have. Will not fall under the age appropriate. Now, if the patient is pregnant, the live vaccines will be waived, okay, until after childbirth, Okay, so your process hasn't completed, the officer can actually ask you to go get the shots done. Okay, so unless there is allergy to any of the vaccines, and then you need to have the physician or the allergist report showing that yes, you're truly allergic, and then those are where remarks may be made. This is the only page that is the civil surgeon is instructed to give the applicant. Okay, so only page. Now some may give you an email version of your test, but those are not what is required. USCIS makes note of just this. Okay, in practice, you may get a copy, but that's not the instruction is to get just that. Okay, and vaccine history complete. Now, for children, those tend to be a lot easier. Almost every child that has presented for this process, parents have always presented with their vaccination record. And that's the baffling part. Children always tend to have their records intact, present, but the same parent wouldn't have their own records. Okay, so this last page you have to fill in, and then this is completely left blank for the USCIS. Okay, so some changes. Let's go back here. What are update to the report? Update. So let's use which shows. Let me see. Okay, no, this is not what I was looking for. Well, I can tell you, you can have your USCIS, the I-693 done, and turn that in within 60 days, and it will remain valid for 2 years. In the past, it used to be just 1 year. Okay, so let's do, let me see, I-69 changes. Update to the policy. Now this should be newer stuff. Okay, so let's see. There you go. It has to be turned in within 60 days, approximately 2 months. Okay, and then it remains valid for 2 years. Okay, it remains valid now for 2 years. So there is really no reason to wait anymore. There's no reason to wait anymore for you to receive the letter asking you to go get the I-693 done, because most times then that means that's the only thing holding up your I can't type, holding up your process. So you can, once you file for your change of status, once you have the process started, I'd advise you to come in, get this process started on time. Okay, because everyone's case might be different. Now, going back to the vaccination, right? There's a neat trick you could do to find out where you can get your shots for free. Okay, so for our location is 77584, and it pulls up the county health department. Okay, go to this place, get those shots done, and present to your I-693 medical with those vaccination records. Those things could take away a few days from your processing time. Okay, or you could use your insurance and go to any of the pharmacies and get those taken care of. Okay, most of the clinics not able to give cover your exam under your insurance, because the insurance has no code for medical, immigration medical. Okay, forget what they tell you, because I've seen this so many times. People in insurance will call the insurance and say, "Hey, I'm going for a physical exam." The insurance people will say, "Yeah, sure, we cover it," and then the civil surgeon is not paid because they have no code to cover for the exam, and that's why it's still out of pocket money expense. But for you with insurance, you can turn in your receipt to the insurance and they can apply that to your out of pocket expense or deductibles. Okay, so every other testing that falls under the immigration medical or under that main code will still not be covered. Okay, so and again, that's why it comes out of pocket. But if for any reason you're going for a regular medical exam and you get those tests done, your quantiferin, your syphilis, gonorrhea, and your immunization shots under like a regular medical with maybe your yearly medical code, those results are still going to be valid within 30 days. And you can take those and present to USCIS surgeon, okay, to have it done. Now, again, just to remind you how to locate your doctor, you go to the site 77584 and you search, and voila, there we are. Okay, I hope this has helped somebody. We look forward to helping you through this process. Thank you.